Okay. Now we can start painting 3D code. What I've done here is file new, tell it to paint UV mapped mesh, go through and choose my model. Just set the texture width that I'm working with, which is 1024 by 1024. And then texture import that file. And we're good to go. We've got the UV texture editor here that we can also paint in, but I won't need that just yet. And the color palette option, it might be like this when you load it in. I've just gone to image and pasted in the concept. So I can sort of refer to that and pick from that if I need to, or just sort of cross-reference. Another thing, I have to go to normal and tell it to use that as a normal map. And everything else should be looking good. Yeah, we're good to go. Okay, just bear with me 1 second. Okay. All right, so we have our flat colors. Next thing I'll start to focus on is I want to capture the values and basically the value, the hue, and the saturation of each type of element in this concept a little better. We sort of color picked straight from the concept, and it's close. I think the metal is probably the furthest sort of color that's off right now. It's looking way too bright. And so we'll have to adjust that a little bit. So maybe the color we chose wasn't quite right. But the selection sets we have here are pretty useful in 3D code as well, because I can sort of mask things off. Yep, okay. So what I did there was just, yeah, selected the metal region, inverted that selection, so everything else is sort of frozen. And by that I won't be able to paint on it. And now I can just paint on the metal area only. And yeah, it's the fun stage where we just zone out and start painting. I'm also going to start, not only am I trying to achieve like a closer look in terms of the values and color of this guy, I'm also going to start introducing some of the color breakup and color variation that's going on in this concept in terms of things like the gradient of, say, like a lighter to darker color. I know I was saying before about we shouldn't introduce too much lighting information. And in some part, the gradient on this is slightly related to that, in that sort of the belly will be a lot darker in this concept because it's not receiving any light. I think it's up to us artistically to sort of subtly introduce a gradient that isn't quite so apparent that it's coming directly from like a light source. It gives it a nice readability in terms of you'll have a lighter region at the head and sort of like a desaturated or less light value towards the feet. And that's just sort of like a nice readability type of thing to paint in. It's not really related to, I guess, light in a way. if you get what I'm saying. So the AO is kind of doing the job for us in that the underside of the belly is slightly darker than the top. And that's probably as dark as I want to go. I wouldn't want to push things as extreme as in here maybe. You can maybe go a little bit darker value, but I wouldn't go too much. There's also a lot of nice color variation in this concept that we're going to want to introduce as well. It's very flat color right now. And sort of breaking up that flatness will give our texture a lot more life as well.